What's going on, guys? My name is Steve. Thank you for stopping by my channel. Today we're going to be reacting to England's North-South divide. This video was recommended to me by a subscriber, and I've definitely noticed people in the comments from time to time talking about some of the differences between people in the north of England and people in the south of England. It definitely feels like there are quite a few cultural differences between the north and the south. Obviously, you have a lot of similarities because you're in the same country and whatnot, but it's kind of like, I guess, the way it is in America, where the South and the North, and then you've always got the West and the Midwest. These different areas definitely have, different cultures and whatnot, and the people are very different in a lot of ways, even though we're in the same country. And I suppose that's what we're talking about here. But considering this as North-South divide, I'm not sure. Maybe this video is actually going to go into kind of like more of, how people in the South look at people in the North and how people in the North look at people in the South. I'm not really sure exactly where this video is going to go, but I thought this would be very interesting. So let's just go ahead and dive in and learn about England's North-South divide.
Fish and chips, a meal in a minute, and the staple diet of the Northerner. Or so the Southerner likes to believe. But do they agree in Bury, Lancashire? Is it right that people in Bury eat nothing but fish and chips?
Absolute rubbish.
Well, how often do you eat them?
I eat them about twice a week. And this is because, of course, we're busy. We're up early in the morning, every morning, 7 days a week.
Doing what?
We do newspapers. We're news agents. Have been for 25 years.
But a lot of people in the south of England have the idea that folks in the north do exist on fish and chips.
A lot of people in the north also don't like the ideas of people in the south. The snobs, etc. And of course, I haven't been down south, but from what other customers have told me, they wouldn't like to live down south. They've been, they wouldn't like to live there. Things are more expensive. And it's these type of people who are going out for meals that won't cook.
Wow. So this video is actually discussing kind of a true division where maybe a lot of people in the North versus the South, kind of have these preconceived perceptions of the other side because they've only had certain interactions with, certain people from the either area or they've never been there or whatever. That's very interesting. I could kind of expect that to a certain extent in a country as big as America, but, England is not as big, so I wouldn't have expected that would have been the case. Wow. Okay.
Themselves.
Would you leave the north for the south?
Never. No.
What do you feel about South Country people?
About
snobbish.
yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
eat enough chips.
The land of Coronation Street. Is it any different from the television version the South has learned to accept as the real thing? Is the home of Ina Sharples the true North? Is she the reason why Southerners say north of Watford and you're in cannibal country? Certainly it's clubland. If you think there's no fun like there used to be, try a night out in a North Country workman's club. The old music hall term, the stand-up comic, still packs them in, and why not? Here they'll tell you canned music is one thing, the flesh and blood entertainer something else, especially when he's one of your own. It mightn't be the thing to do in Pinner or Kew, but those who want to have it prim and proper, behind their lace curtains and privet hedges, that's their choice. Here they'll tell you that if you knew what was good for you, you'd be in there letting yourself go. It's rough, it'll probably smell of beer, but it's warm, and that's what the North's about.
7.
17.
It used to be the atmosphere Tom Harris knew well, but when he married a southern girl and took her back to it, that's when the trouble began. Now they live back in the south playing cribbage in the evenings.
The trouble.
On in their own suburban sitting room, remembering the days when he took his southern bride to the warm and friendly north he came from. But viewed through her eyes, she was no Lancashire lass, the Bury he talked about was something else again.
Well, up north, people used to think I was a bit mad because I did so much cooking. They could send the children to the fish and chip shop and get fried chips and peas for a couple of bob, and that was their dinner, their main diet.
But do you mean that the mothers didn't do cooking?
No. No, they never bothered to do much cooking at all. If it was something that could all go in a pan together. the potatoes, the meats, the carrots, the onions, all in one pan. They never did any, well, it's because Tom's a chef, I don't know. But then again, I've been brought up this way, of having plenty of vegetables on a plate, plenty of meat, and having a proper meal, which is all cooked in a separate pan and put on your plate properly. Well, up there is just put all in one pan together. And there are one family that I know, and they actually eat off a saucepan lids. Because I've took my children there and they've been given the same thing on a saucepan lid. And my children just tell me, I don't like that, Mummy, it doesn't look nice, and they wouldn't eat it.
But would you say that was typical of the area that you lived in Bury?
The biggest majority of it, yes.
Eating from the saucepan lids?
Hmm.
Well, what were the women doing with their time, in your eyes, if they weren't preparing the sort of meals?
In one another's houses, drinking coffee. As soon as the children went, because I started, when I first went there I didn't, but after a while I began to notice that I was coming down in my standards. I was beginning to get scruffy, I wasn't bothering with my hair and my clothes. As soon as my children went off to school, right, next door, a cup of coffee. We'd all sit there drinking coffee for about an hour, go over the road to somebody else's house drinking coffee. And I ended up, just before I moved here, I was getting as bad as them. In fact, I think I did get as bad as them.
But what did
Wow, dude, this is crazy, man. I don't know, man. It's just, is this still happening? Is this division still here? I mean, I don't know how big the division was in 1970, but it seems like there was quite a bit of, like, I don't even know how to describe it. Like, you know, people in the North didn't really have a good perception of people in the South and vice versa. Wow. I had no idea it was kind of this divided in, you know, in one country, in England. Granted, like I said, you do have some of these stereotypes in the North versus the South America, in the US. So, I mean, I guess it's just, you get into your little area and you grow up with those people, you have the way you do things and whatever. And, when you see or hear that a certain group of people does things differently, it seems out of the ordinary and you just can't understand them and whatnot. Even if you're in England, how long is England, like, north-south? Because, I mean, width-wise, I think it's like, what, max of like 70 miles, or maybe it's more than that, but it's not huge, right? But north-south, I know, is quite a bit longer. But still, I mean, you can't be divided by no more than, what, 200 or 300 miles, I'm guessing? I might be wrong on that, but that's what I'm guessing. So if that's the case, it's kind of crazy to me that the division would be that different in that relatively little distance. Because, like, that's kind of like, I can't imagine it being that different, the state over. It would be somewhat different, but not as different as it seems like they're saying here, if you understand what I'm saying. Let's continue.
What did you talk about during these coffee sessions, one after the other?
Local gossip about somebody that wasn't there, I think. There was never any main interest in life they didn't seem to have. Didn't seem to have any hobbies, except bingo, and they're talking about who was at bingo last night, how much they won, how much they lost.
Because if the women went to work, a lot of them would perhaps be working in the factories, in the cotton mills.
In the cotton mills,
they'd work pretty hard there, wouldn't they?
They worked very hard. Well, I had one experience. I decided to get a job in a cotton mill. Got at 7:30, and 8 o'clock I passed out.
Passed out?
With a heat. I've never known a place so.
My grandparents, man, like, they worked in cotton mills for years, man. It was just very big in the area I'm from. Kind of that mill culture. There's tons of old mill houses and things like that. But just reminded me of that.
Hot. And talk about work, I've never worked like it in my life. By 5 o'clock I'd had enough and I couldn't go back. That every penny the woman earned, she definitely earns in the cotton mill.
Well, what was that work like? Can you describe it?
Oh, where I was, there was a great big long machine, as long as this room, and had all these bobbins on and these pieces of cotton coming down. And if your cotton snapped, there was a spindle going really fast. Had to grab hold of it, stop it, and piece your cotton up again. Well, I did it once. Instead of holding it tight, I just had hold of it and I burnt all the inside of my hand.
And the mill girls in Bury, what do they think about all that?
She reads handicapped, doesn't she? I mean, she must do. Nobody lives like that, really.
But she said that the women who weren't working did nothing but gossip all day long.
Well, I can't gossip because I don't like gossiping. I'll have a word with my friends. But I don't go in anybody's house. I have enough to do.
I'll say that's probably true for a lot of people. I mean, you know, if someone's not working or doesn't have kids to raise, or if they're not busy doing something, then the only thing they have left to do is, you know, get in other people's business and gossip in a lot of cases. Not everybody, obviously, but you definitely, you know, everybody's got to be busy with something. And if you don't have any hobbies, you don't have work, you don't have to raise kids, you don't, you know, then there's a good chance you might get into the local gossip a little bit.
Don't tell me they don't do that. Everybody does that.
Yeah. I mean, if she can come here and show us where these are panelets, she's welcome.
We'll all
She
go.
said that
We'd
was
like
typical.
to see. We'd like to see.
We've not seen it.
No. How would you eat of a panellet anyway? Can you imagine it? You don't sit at the bottom, you won't be able to put it on a table. It isn't typical. It isn't typical of anywhere in the north. I don't care who she is, and I'd like to meet her.
Are you getting rattled by what she
Yes,
said?
I am. Very rattled. Very annoyed.
Is it the truth that hurts?
No, it isn't the truth of it. But you see, there's a lot of people take Coronation Street very, very seriously. They've never been up here. They've never seen how we live or what we do or anything.
She has.
Yes, I know, but these are the people that she's telling, and they obviously get a bad or a wrong impression of us, don't they? So they don't want to come up here.
Well, what is the right picture? If you don't eat off pan lids,
We eat off plates the same as any normal person. We drink out of cups, we have cups of saucer knives and forks, tablecloths.
That is crazy that there was this perception that, I don't know if it was just that woman, but I'm guessing it probably wasn't. I mean, considering she had this, I mean, it was, you know, she really believed this, that nobody ate out of plates. And I don't know, that's kind of weird, man. Like that again, it's just like this short distance. It's really, you're not separated by that far of a distance. Maybe in the 1970, maybe I don't know, the public transportation wasn't as good driving, you know, across a distance of going from the south to north or north to the south. But it's just amazing to me because it's like, you know, I can see these perceptions being in South versus, like I said, the North versus South in the U.S. But, you know, I mean, a state or two over, you're going to have some differences, but not that much. So it's just very interesting to me.
We don't have straw on the floor or anything like that. We sleep in beds, you know, we're quite normal.
She'll have to come to me, I'll tell her a few things.
what can you tell if you can?
I don't repeat it.
One of the things that she was shocked by was the amount of beer drinking that went on in Bury every day of the week, not just the weekend.
She must have done a lot of pubbing, mustn't she? She can't get out to do it indoors. How did she do all that?
Getting more money down south than what they are up here, you know.
The what?
Getting more money down south than what they are up here. These not £30 a week workers here, you know.
No, we don't work in
How many here?
£30 a week. Wow.
Half of that. How many? They're into one.
Wow.
Her point was that there was a lot of beer drinking going
Oh,
on.
admit
And a
it.
lot of going to bingo
Admit it,
by
yes.
people who were on the dough.
Oh, admit it.
On the dough.
On the door. Oh, well, that's the other code, isn't it? That's not out.
Well, how do you
Lots
react?
of them at the front door.
What?
That's only a few in. Oh, yeah.
I don't think you can class them all alike.
No.
What about living down there?
Living? I wouldn't live down there for 30 quid a week.
Why not?
Because I couldn't stand them. I couldn't.
Wow,
What could you not stand
man.
about them?
There's too much edge on them. Too much edge about them
Too much
altogether.
edge.
Come up here all as well. Come go down there. They'll not treat you same road.
No.
No. They're all one click. All one click.
Wow. Guys, like, is this still a thing? I mean, if you're in the South, do you have these perceptions, these negative perceptions of people in the North? And likewise, if you're in the North, do you have these negative perceptions of people in the South? You know, I watched a video. I can't remember the exact title of it. You know, I reacted to it. When was that video? Was it a week ago? I don't know. Anyways, I remember there were certain insults. It was a video about insults. And I remember he brought up one that the South had the insult of northern monkeys for the north of England, and the North had southern softies for the South. So I you know, and I can see that was probably definitely a thing in 1970 when this video was aired. I don't know, obviously, if that's still as much of a thing, considering that you guys, you know, probably can travel a little bit easier now considering public transportation. I'm guessing a lot more people may have cars. Well, I don't know. Do more people have cars or less people now? It's just so interesting to me that this division has happened or may still be happening. I'm not really sure. Obviously, I think that even back then, you guys as a country, if something big happened to the country itself, I'm guessing you guys would have come together. I think generally speaking, though, a lot of this is from people who just didn't travel to the South or to the North from the South. And so you just have these perceptions of things you've heard, you've seen or interacted with a small amount of people from the opposite area. And so you just have these perceptions based off of who everybody is, generalized because of that. You know, we have that in the U.S. some, probably not as much as, you know, was around at some points, but, you know, definitely there. But this is really interesting. It kind of gives me the vibe that people in the North, I think, had this perception of a lot of, I don't know, was it maybe what you thought of with people on the coast? Because people on the coast tend to like have a more relaxed lifestyle. I don't know if that's the case in England, but generally speaking, here in the U.S., if you live on the coast, you know, you're known to have kind of the barefoot lifestyle, and you know and if you're kind of in the cooler or colder climates, the lifestyles tend to be a little bit more harsh. And so you get these perceptions about each other and how you live and whatnot. And obviously, you know, stereotypes, generally speaking, you know, there's always some truth to a stereotype, but it's never as bad as it's made out to be, generally speaking. But I thought this was really interesting. I'd love to see some other stuff like this because, this really gives me kind of a new, interesting perspective about life in England. And ultimately, I'd like to see other parts of the UK and Ireland, you know, with these types of videos. So if you have any ideas of things like this, please share them with me. The person who recommended this video to me actually was talking about how he noticed that I hadn't really done many videos about kind of the negative side, I guess you'd say, about the UK, and I've mostly focused on positive things. And obviously this video wasn't necessarily a positive thing, and I agree with that. You know, simply mainly because, you know, obviously when you're interested in learning about a group of people, a country, a culture, things like that, you know, you're generally, if you're a positive person, you're usually going to probably look for positive things. It's just, I think it's natural to lean in that direction. But it's true that I really do need to look at some of the more kind of harsh stuff, more negative things, if you will, things that aren't as positive about things that have happened in a culture. Obviously, I've seen a little bit of that. You know, one thing comes to mind is, you know, talking about the Troubles in Ireland, or the potato fast, or the potato famine in Ireland. That's just a couple examples I can think of in regards to some of the more negative aspects of things that have happened. But I really want to see more of like the negative cultural aspects that have happened in the different countries in the UK and Ireland. So guys, enough of me rambling, but this was really, really interesting to me. So please, please, please feel free to leave other videos like this about different things about the culture and things like that. So thank you so much for stopping by, guys. Please click that like button. Feel free to drop your comments or suggestions about this video or others. And don't forget to subscribe to continue to follow me on my journey to discover my British and Irish ancestry. Until next time, guys, peace.